Imagine modern humans thrown into the freezing white wasteland of the ancient Ice Age. Flesh and blood quickly fail against invisible blades of sharp wind and dropping temperatures. Biologically speaking, a modern heart would stop beating within just 30 minutes of exposure. Acute hypothermia turns warm blood into thick sludge, stopping vital organs from working properly. High-tech synthetic fabrics offer little protection against winds howling at 100 kilometers hourly.
The ruthless wind always finds a way to steal your body heat without mercy.
Yet 30,000 years ago, a different breed of human conquered this frozen hell. They lacked thick forests for shelter, and deep caves were nothing but freezing traps. These resilient people built enduring homes and raised families during endless millennia of winter. They did not just barely survive, but actually established permanent settlements across the ice. Modern engineers still marvel at the sustainable architectural mastery displayed by our ancient ancestors. They dug deep into the frozen earth, seeking trapped geothermal heat from below ground. Walls were lined with clever insulating materials, while roofs featured precise holes for ventilation. Today, we consider these techniques the absolute pinnacle of modern, sustainable green building design. These brilliant blueprints remained buried under thick sheets of ice for tens of thousands of years. They had no electricity or concrete, yet possessed an incredible engineering mindset for survival. The people we often call primitive were actually the greatest engineers in human history. Forget the peaceful and quiet landscapes often shown in romanticized nature documentaries about history.
Reality was an absolutely brutal daily war for survival against the most unforgiving elements.
The deadliest enemy was not the fierce saber-toothed tiger, but the chilling wind.
Plunging temperatures make the wind feel like minus 60 degrees, instantly freezing any exposed skin.
In just 10 minutes, bare skin burns from frostbite, and cold air paralyzes the lungs.
Every single breath drawn into the chest quickly transforms into a sharp, agonizing physical torture. Despite these overwhelming odds against them, our ancient ancestors stood firm and held their ground.
Many people wrongly assume these early humans simply hid inside deep, dark, rocky stone caves. Beautiful paintings on cave walls trick us into believing these spaces were their permanent homes. From a strict engineering perspective, a stony cave is actually just a giant cold trap. Without central heating, the damp chill of a cave drains body heat incredibly fast everywhere.
Lighting a fire inside turns the enclosed cave ceiling into a suffocating, smoky death trap.
Toxic soot from indoor fires would quickly swirl around and severely damage their lungs forever. Furthermore, their basic survival required them to constantly follow migrating herds of wild animals daily. They tracked massive mammoths and swift reindeer across the endless, frozen, sprawling winter grassy plains. They could not afford to chain their entire existence to fixed, stationary limestone mountain ranges. Survival demanded extreme flexibility, turning them into brilliant, mobile architects traversing the great white open. They were completely forced to construct innovative, portable living spaces right upon the ice fields. Building materials were incredibly scarce, with heavy stones and large timber being impossible, luxurious dreams. Faced with nothing, they discovered a genius solution by harnessing the warm breath of Earth.
They quickly understood a basic physical principle, that deep soil acts as excellent thermal filters.
While the surface remains frozen, and digging down just 1 meter reveals a gradually warming temperature. At a depth of 2 meters, the Earth maintains a stable 10 degrees year-round. This ancient method was essentially the early prehistoric predecessor to modern geothermal heat pump systems. They erected semi-underground structures, combining natural Earth heat with central, roaring communal fire pits.
This brilliant combination created a perfect warm microclimate, entirely separated from the deadly frozen outside.
To build the sturdy frames, they turned to forgotten treasures lying across the snowy plains.
Massive mammoth bones became the primary structural support systems for their innovative protective winter dwellings.
These builders did not work randomly, but demonstrated an incredible mastery of superior geometric planning. Heavy mammoth skulls were precisely placed, acting as solid, unmoving foundation pillars for the structure.
Long, curved tusks and sturdy thigh bones were cleverly interlocked, constructing a resilient dome frame.
Roman architects later worshipped the dome structure for its amazing ability to distribute heavy loads.
Prehistoric people utilized this exact geometric principle thousands of years earlier against terrible snowstorms. Constructing just one single dwelling could easily require up to 9 to 5 complete mammoth skeletons.
Moving 20 tons of material demanded highly organized labor and extremely advanced collective planning skills. To block the freezing wind from entering the gaps, they engineered intricate, triple-layered insulation. The innermost layer utilized warm reindeer skin to create multiple trapped, insulating air pockets inside.
These natural skin air pockets successfully prevented direct body heat from escaping the cozy interior. The middle layer consisted of tightly packed dry moss, acting as an incredibly miraculous sponge.
This magical moss absorbed dangerous moisture, preventing nasty mold and deadly frost inside the dwelling.
The tough outermost shell was woven from stiff, strong reeds, functioning as heavy protective armor.
This final exterior barrier effectively deflected the howling winds, safeguarding the fragile internal structural integrity.
Separating these rough materials created air gaps, essentially inventing the modern double-glazed window technique. Next, they needed a clever solution to manage smoke from the essential central cooking fire. Ancient engineers skillfully designed a ventilation opening directly at the very peak of the dome. They also carved out lower air intakes beneath the main dwelling entrance, below ground level. Cold, heavy air rushed inside through the lower opening, pushing hot, lighter smoke upwards. This ingenious system relied entirely upon natural thermal convection to continuously refresh interior breathable air.
Even more amazingly, they actively controlled this airflow using movable, large, thick animal skin panels. They essentially created rudimentary flow valves, or dampers, to regulate internal cabin temperature quite precisely.
Night quickly descends upon the eternal plains, yet the interior remains relatively warm and safe.
Within these massive bowl structures, our ancestors did not just survive, but actually truly lived. They masterfully carved intricate patterns onto ivory, using tools during long, cold, dark winter nights.
Skilled artisans meticulously crafted microscopic sewing needles, using tiny fragments of strong mammoth bone.
They organized their living space very clearly, dividing the interior into distinct, practical, functional zones.
These activities represent much more than survival, holding back the boundary between life and death.
Our often labeled primitive ancestors were in fact highly skilled and great master technical engineers.
They should be rightfully recognized today as the very first true ecological architectural pioneers.
When the Earth finally began to warm up, approximately 12,000 long years ago,
The magnificent great woolly mammoth herds gradually went extinct, leaving the bone villages abandoned.
These ancient settlements slowly faded away, yet their fundamental engineering principles still survive today. Concepts regarding earth energy insulation and load distribution live on within our modern buildings.
They pass down a powerful eternal lesson about using intelligence to harmonize with nature effectively.
They bravely proved that no environmental adversity is ever an impossible dead end for humanity.
human intelligence remains the absolute greatest weapon we possess against the most brutal natural forces.
True survival requires us to deeply understand and harmoniously respect the natural world around us.
This profound ancient wisdom is undoubtedly the greatest legacy passed down to all future generations.
We often forget these critical survival lessons while comfortably resting inside our modern concrete jungles.
Our entire modern architectural foundation secretly rests upon their brilliant prehistoric innovations from the ice.
Those invisible ancestors continue guiding our hands whenever we design sustainable green buildings today. They kept the fragile pulse of humanity alive during the darkest and coldest geological epoch.
It is time we finally rewrit our history books to honor their true engineering genius.
We must shatter the ignorant stereotype of the mindless caveman dragging a club through snow.
These brilliant minds looked up at the freezing stars and decided they would never surrender.
Looking back 30,000 years gives us incredible perspective on our own modern climate struggles.
Their enduring legacy provides a glowing roadmap for adapting to extreme environmental changes happening today.
Life always finds a way to flourish when guided by careful observation and creative thinking. These prehistoric architectural arcs successfully carried human civilization across the frozen river of deep time. The immense sheer willpower of our ancestors quite literally carried humanity through the Ice Age. Even when temperatures drop terrifyingly low today, their ancient fire still burns brightly within us. They patiently endured the longest winter so that our current modern summer could eventually exist.
Their spirit cannot be contained within dusty museum displays because it lives in our achievements.
Never underestimate the power of human ingenuity to build a lasting home anywhere on Earth.